Hey everybody, Tim Brahim, Performance Experts Coaching and Leadership 360 with another business and life tip for you. And today's tip is in relationship to marketing, but in an area that maybe some of you don't think of the opportunities that exist for marketing. And what I'm referring to is marketing to your existing loans in process. There's never going to be a time that you have a greater opportunity to capture the attention of a valuable long-term relationship than when you're doing a loan for them. I mean, let's face it, you've got 45 to 60 days in most cases to where they're going to take every phone call, they're going to read every email, and they're going to be pretty attentive to you. And the system that you have for impressing them, for blowing them away, for exceeding their expectations, for creating a raving fan, if you will, has everything to do with your success. And in fact, I would tell you that if you have a system of customer service, a perfect loan process, if you will, that is really tight and dialed in and can predict the needs of the customer that you're serving, you're not only going to create a customer for life, but you're going to create a extended salesperson for you. Somebody who's going to go out there and talk about you as a company. And I'm going to give you an example of it as something that I experienced a very long time ago, and it had a huge impact on my career. Many years ago, I was in Hawaii on Maui, and I was with my family. My kids were very young. And I was staying in Lahaina at a Marriott, and after 5 days, we were going to go down to the southern part of Maui and stay at a very nice Four Seasons hotel. And I had called the Four Seasons to ask if we could get an early check-in, and they said, sure, come on down. And when we arrived, it was like they were waiting for us, which was kind of strange to me because it's a very large hotel. But literally, when we pulled up, they opened the doors to the car and they said, you know, welcome Mr. and Mrs. Brahim to the Four Seasons. And I remember thinking at that moment, like, how did they know it was us? Maybe they knew that we had children. Maybe they had a profile on us. I wasn't quite sure. But as soon as we got to the front desk, our children were sleeping. They had fallen asleep in the car. And they said, you know, Mr. Brahim, I think it would be probably more comfortable for you if we checked you in your room rather than you having to wait down here. That way you could get your children up to the room and down for their nap. And I said, wow, that would be great. So we went directly to the room. And as soon as the doors of the room opened, I noticed right away that all on the outsides of the balconies where the railing was, that they had put mesh netting around the railing so our children couldn't slip through the bars and fall over the rail. They had put in the little rubber bumpers on the corners of the tables, the coffee tables and the end tables in our hotel room, so they wouldn't bump their head when, you know, my daughter was very young, so when she was crawling on the floor. Then I went in the bathroom. And they had taken sponges and they had cut out the names Trey and Olivia, my children's names, and they had arranged them around the circumference of the bathtub and spelling out their name. On their beds were two stuffed parrots that they had given to them. And then there was a knock at the door. And when I answered the door, about 10 minutes after getting into the room, there was a gentleman standing out there with two little trays in his hand. And he said, our Trey and Olivia here. On each tray was a glass of milk and a fresh baked chocolate chip cookie. Now talk about rolling out the red carpet. Every day when we would go to the beach, they would offer me buckets and shovels and all kinds of things to make a sandcastle with my kids. Every afternoon, they'd bring popsicles out to the pool. That's marketing to your client while you have them in process and as a captive audience. That's a perfect example of it. So what are you doing when you're doing a loan for somebody to create that type of an experience for them to where they're like, wow, like I can't wait to work with these people again because I really liked the experience. And that may sound unrealistic, but believe me, it is very realistic. It's one of the backbones of what I created as an originator. So we're going to get into some specific things about that in the second part of this video. So I'm just priming the pump right now. And the next video that we send to you next week is going to have some very specific ideas for you of things that you can be doing. But remember, when you have an opportunity to work with realtors and clients on a transaction, it's your golden opportunity to really cement the relationship and to market them in ways that would have them coming back time and again. We'll be back at you next week with part 2 of this video. To your success.